Good morning, everyone. I'm Derek. Welcome to There Will Be Cars. If you're not familiar with my channel, I review new vehicles that manufacturers send me, and I bring you my driving impressions. So there will be trucks, there will be SUVs, and of course there will be cars. As you can tell, behind me I have an SUV, but not just any SUV. This is the reincarnated Jeep Grand Wagoneer. For 2022, Jeep brought back not only the Wagoneer, but the Grand Wagoneer as a sub-brand of the Jeep family. The Wagoneer line comes in Series 1, 2, and 3 trim levels, and the Grand Wagoneer, as you can imagine, is the luxury version, and that comes in Series 1, 2, 3, and Obsidian trim levels. Jeep went big on the Grand Wagoneer. Big body, big interior, big price, and it has an engine to match. The standard and only engine available in the Grand Wagoneer is the 6.4 liter Hemi. Get this cool trim plate right there. Under the hood of the Grand Wagoneer, the big Hemi generates 470 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque. That's combined with an 8-speed automatic and quadra-drive 2 4-wheel drive. The Grand Wagoneer certainly makes sure everyone knows it's there when you start it up. I just love the contrast. The Grand Wagoneer is refined and comfortable, but it has this guttural, menacing exhaust note. I've had the privilege of spending more than a week in the top-of-the-line Grand Wagoneer model, the Series 3. Part of that trim package is 22-inch wheels, quilted Palermo leather seats with massage in the front row, and this 10.25-inch screen on the passenger side up front. As you can probably tell, this has been on the road quite a bit. Been transporting family around the Orlando area, using this as a family hauler, going to the beach, going to Disney World. This has been quite a popular vehicle. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on it, not only from family members who say it's very comfortable and cushy, but also from strangers. Like, I went to the gas station, a guy came up to me, and judging by what he was saying, I assume he was a Tahoe owner, and he was asking me about it because he was interested in it. And I told him, yeah, it's very nice on the inside, it's just a little thirsty, but he didn't bat an eye at that. And then one night we went to dinner and we had to check in at a guard station, and the guy there immediately knew what this was. He said, oh, this is the first one I've seen in person. He was really excited to see it. Considering Jeep discontinued the Grand Wagoneer at the end of the 1991 model year, there's definitely been time for anticipation to build, and it's finally here. The base price of the Series 3 Grand Wagoneer is approximately $104,000, but this one, as it sits, is $106 and change. The Series 3 comes pretty well loaded already, but this one has a $995 heavy-duty towing package. That includes features such as upgraded engine cooling, chrome tow hooks, a trailer brake controller, and a removable rear tow hook. According to Jeep, maximum towing capacity for the Grand Wagoneer is 9,850 pounds. Let's take a look at the door tag on this one. You can see this was made in March of 2021. Interestingly, they still use the FCA US name. You got all the specs right here, paint code. There's a lot to cover inside the Grand Wagoneer, so I'm going to break it down into two basic categories: luxury and comfort features, and tech. Before we even get inside, you can see one of the comfort features, the four-corner air suspension. So right now it's at its entry exit height, makes it easy to climb inside. And then on top of that, power running boards. Now, one thing they don't offer on the Grand Wagoneer is soft closed doors. And right here you can see the wood trim, the door mounted seat controls, very Mercedes touch right there. So you got the adjustable headrest, and then you even have an adjustable thigh bolster right here. Push this button for massage, and then memory settings right here. Right here you got the power mirror controls, and then if you want to just manually fold them in, you twist that all the way, turn them back. Then you have auto up down for all 4 windows, window lock, and then the lock switch right there. And since Jeep put the seat controls on the door panel, you not only have this door sill here, but this sort of plaque at the bottom of the seat. Overall, you have 20-way adjustability for the driver and the front passenger. To go along with the power seats, you have power adjustable pedals and a power adjustable steering wheel. Jeep configured my tester with the color scheme it calls Global Black. So as you can see, it's got quilted inserts and in certain areas, contrast stitching, like the headrests right there. And then you even got this contrast piping and this warm walnut wood trim right there. Nice little bonus are these armrests right here. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the wood trim and your own armrest on either side. Now I'm going to start up the truck and show you some of the other comfort and convenience features. I'll start with the basics up here. So in the front row, you've got dual zone automatic climate control, temperature controls here with this rocker. So up to increase the temperature, down to decrease it, defrosters, climate modes. You just cycle your way through those. Fan speed also on a rocker, auto, AC, recirc, and then the other climate zone right there. To go along with those, you have your heated and ventilated seats. You can also specify which zone you want those settings to apply to. So put it on cool right now. You can have the backrest and the bottom, or just the backrest, or just the bottom. And then this is really cool. So heated steering wheel, nothing new these days, but I was surprised to discover that this one has 3 levels of steering wheel heating. Then you have a similar setup on the passenger side up front. And you can go to the main menu, which gives you an overview of all the basic features right there. You can see up top here, there's these different menus, and you can access those here on the 12-inch main screen, or you can run something else up there and go to this secondary screen. Now that I have the right angle, you can see breakdown of the menu features right there. So let's go to the front. Okay, it's more of the same from what I just showed you. And then you go to the seats here and you can fine tune all the different areas for the 2 front seats. This is my favorite section right here, all these different massage modes. So you've got 5 different modes, 3 different intensities, and just like with the heating and ventilation, you can tell the system which part of the seat to apply the massage settings to. I mentioned that the front has dual zone climate control. The rear has the same setup as well. Each passenger in the second row has their own climate zone. And you can adjust the fan split right there, and then you can sync both of them if you'd like, and adjust the fan speed down there. Here's one feature that falls into both categories of comfort and convenience and tech, the auto hold feature. So if you have this engaged when you're at a stoplight, it automatically holds the brake for you so you don't have to keep your foot on the brake. It's a small thing, but it makes commuting or stop and go traffic a little more convenient. You definitely have a lot of cup holders, which makes sense because this is a big family hauling vehicle. So you've got a long slot there on the driver's side, and then this opening right there. 2 more under this cover. And I like the fact that they included this slot too. So if you wanted to put your cell phone or some other bit of gear right there, you can do it. You know, you don't have to necessarily use one of these cup holders. And speaking of beverages, the Series 3 has this handy feature, a cool box. This really came in handy the other day. I went to the beach with some family and yeah, had everything nice and cooled down. Before I go further back into the vehicle, I just wanted to give you an idea of what some of the materials up front feel like. In addition to the wood trim, there's also some real metal trim. They did a nice job padding the top rail here. You got a heritage touch there, the 2-spoke steering wheel. Of course, leather wrapped. You get contrast stitching here. See some more on these wrapped grab handles. And then if you go to the top, yeah, you see some more metallic trim right there. And then this suede-like headliner for the pillars and even the sun visors. You got your HomeLink 3-setting garage door opener right there. Got a sort of command center up here. So you got the button for the power rear lift gate, overhead lighting, of course, and then this massive shade over the two front rows. Hit it again to fully open it. Now it's spacious enough already in here, but opening that makes it feel even roomier. And then if you want to ventilate it, you can hit the tilt button, cracks it a little bit, and then you can fully open it, of course. And just like with the shade, hit it twice to completely open it up. Now let's take a look at the two back rows. Got another long storage area here, cup holder, more contrast stitching, wood trim. Then this nice feature here, manual side sunshade. And on the side here, you can see one of the pillar mounted air vents and another grab handle with metallic trim and contrast stitching. The second row seats have a combination of manual and power adjustments, so you can tilt the seat back yourself if you want a little more recline. And then if you want to slide the seat forward and back, you have this bar down here. But if you want to get into the third row, you can just hit this button and it automatically moves forward a little bit. Right now I have the seat as far forward as I can possibly fit. If you reach under the front of the seat, there's a manual adjustment bar. You slide back. There we go, I'm fully back. Plenty of leg room. I have the seat back at a comfortable angle right now, and I just want to give you an idea of what kind of headroom I have. So yeah, I don't feel boxed in or anything like that. I feel like I've got plenty of head space. Now, I'm not the tallest person in the world. I'm 5'10", but still got plenty of space here. Now I'm going to lean the seat back all the way. All right. Now I got to tell you, I've been enjoying driving this, but it would be nice to be a passenger, especially in the second row. Just like in the front row, there's a center console with armrests on both sides. Unfortunately, it seems that the person who was testing this before me jammed this sliding cover, so can't show you what's under there. But I can show you these two additional cup holders, and then yeah, if you wanted to put your phone right there, it slots right in the middle. And I mentioned that dual zone climate control before. You got your own command screen back here. I am surprised that they didn't make this articulating or able to fold away or be concealed in some way, but you'll never have anybody asking, well, hey, how can I, adjust my settings back here? They're always present. And as you can see, you not only have two individual climate zones back here, but you also have 3-stage heating and ventilation for the second row seats. Going back to the front console, you have these two rear mounted vents. So you have nice ventilation between these and these door mounted ones. The only way Jeep could have upped that is by putting vents in the ceiling. Of course, you don't have a ton of real estate left because you've got this big shade right here, and then this gizmo right there. I'll get into that in a minute. If you happen to be around the second row of the vehicle and you want to free up space in the back, but you don't want to go all the way back there, you can just hit these buttons to lower the third row. And if for some reason you need to raise them, you can also do that from here as well. The only catch is if you want the headrests raised, you have to do that yourself. I showed you earlier, if you needed to get to the third row, you just hit this handy button. Creates a lot more room for you. Slide it forward. So now I'm going to get into the back, give you an idea of how much space is in the third row. All right, so I'm going to move this seat into position. All right. So it's not fully back. What I'm going to do is manually slide this as far back as I can and get a little bit of an angle to the recline. All right, now you can see it's slid all the way back. It's not fully reclined. It could go a little bit further, but I figure that's a comfortable enough angle for somebody riding in the second row. And even like that, I've got legroom to spare. Now let's do the third row headroom test. Not as spacious as it was in the second row, but I've been in 3-row vehicles before where I feel like, you know, my head is brushing against the headliner, or I feel like I have to kind of crouch down a little bit to clear or to be comfortable. But I don't feel like I have to make any adjustments in this. I just sit back here and, you know, I feel like I'm at a normal angle. I'm comfortable. I've got enough headroom. I've got enough legroom. Unfortunately, as you can see, there are no center vents in the third row, but you do have these on the side. And if you look closely, you can tell that you can actually adjust the seat back angle of the third row seats. So I'm going to move it fully forward. So third row fully forward, not as comfortable as it was before, but I still have just enough headroom. I'm just not at a very comfortable angle. Fortunately, I can fix that. I just recline the seat. Yeah, this is more like it. More natural, more comfortable, not awkward like before. I should also point out there aren't any center cup holders back here or right here, but there's one on each side, and you got this generously sized storage area. Even in the third row, you have your own moonroof. The one catch is it doesn't have a power shade, but that's not too big a deal. You want to see the stars? You just slide it open. There's two main ways to get out of the third row. You can either hit this button again and then just give it a gentle push to maximize space and then climb out. If you really want to get the seat out of your way, you can just pull on this fabric loop and it tilts it forward and even drops the headrest. But as you can tell, the front seat is too far back for it to clear, but you get the idea. Now let's go to the very back. If you have your hands full because you just got out of the grocery store, like I did the other day, made a huge trip, 1.5 carts. It was nice to have a feature like this. Just swave your foot under there. You get the warning sounds and lights. Opens up. Then you have this space behind the third row. Now, as you can tell, the third row seats are not reclined at the same angle. You got your control right there to lower the door. I do wish that Stellantis vehicles would put it on the rear hatch the way it is on vehicles from other manufacturers, but that is what it is. And then you have these little hooks there, and these down here. I'll get into these a little bit in a second because I was nerding out the other day over the cargo management solutions for this. And speaking of nerding out, you got some tech over here, PowerPoint, and then these power controls. So you can see right there that you can power lower the second row seats. If you look a little closer, you can tell that that power adjustability is only to lower them. If you want to raise them, you have to do it manually. Let's take a look at the power lowering function. There you go. Right side. And then the third row works both ways. So let's do the right side. You just press it once, you don't have to hold it down. Automatically lowers the headrest. Now let's finish it off. Headrest was already lowered. That power fold function really came in handy the other day after we got out of the grocery store. I was thinking we'd have enough to just fit back here, but turned out not to be the case, so that was a very handy feature. We needed the space. As I mentioned earlier, I nerded out over this the other day. These two very low-tech features, but useful ones. I'll get into these in a second. So to utilize this one, I'm just going to power raise the third row. And just like with the second row, with these headrests, if you want to raise them, you have to do that manually. I know, such a first world problem. There we go. And I raised those so that I can show you this feature right here. So if you've got cargo behind the third row that you don't want anybody seeing, you just plug this in, literally. Fit that in there. It's very pliable, so you can just squeeze it in the middle there to fit it on this side. And then these clip onto the headrest bars right there, so that when it's closed, nobody can see what's under here. And here's another cargo management option. If you made a light trip to the grocery store and you want to hold things in place, you've got this cargo net. There you go. Like I said, if you make a small trip to the grocery store, this could come in handy. You know, a couple of gallons of milk, some fruit, whatever. You know, just makes it a little tidier. You have a third option down here. Just lift this mat, pull this up, and you have a full width storage tray as well. And as the pictures indicate, got the spare tire and the jack right here. Hopefully won't need this, but just in case, pull this up. All right, now that I've shown you the comfort and convenience features in the Grand Wagoneer Series 3, let's get into the tech. Like a lot of vehicles these days, it has an all-digital dash right there, tach on the left, speedo on the right. You got a redundant speedometer display in the middle if you choose. Then you can toggle between different displays right there. And as you can see, this has night vision. You get a nice big display there in the middle. This was a nice feature to have on the way back from Disney World at night because it was over an hour from the park to where we're staying. And a good chunk of the way, there was no real overhead lighting. It was dark aside from, you know, the light from the cars around us on the road. It just gave me a little extra peace of mind because, you know, if there happened to be a person walking across the road, or once we were, you know, back in civilization, if there was somebody crossing the street, it would highlight the person in a yellow box as they cross the path of the camera. If I hit this down button, I can get other readouts. So as you can tell, I'm not getting great fuel economy, but you know, when you have a big heavy 3-row vehicle with a 6.4 liter Hemi, what do you expect? Still got 244 miles of range left, so that's nice to know. And for my particular trip, I've gone 112 miles so far, averaging 12.3. Ouch. I'm gonna keep hitting the down button, show you the various other readouts. Shows you the steering angle and other bits of info. Keep hitting that. Gives you an infotainment readout right there. Back to night vision. Right now I have the rear view mirror in its regular mode, but if I flip this, it turns into a rear view mirror camera, and you can adjust some of the settings right here, up, down, and brightness. I've been getting a lot of use out of this because this is a large vehicle, and this view right here doesn't have any of the rear headrests or rear bodywork in the way. You can just get a completely unobstructed view of what's behind you, so it helps when changing lanes on the highway. I'm going to get even more use out of it pretty soon because I'm going to have the vehicle almost fully loaded with people, so that means the headrests will be up and there will be at least one other person in the third row. So I don't have to worry about them sitting comfortably back there. You know, I can see what's behind me, they can cruise in comfort, everybody's happy. Along those same lines, I have all these other safety features with adjustable thresholds, so you can tweak the settings for forward collision warning, the sensitivity, even the pedestrian emergency braking. And you see all these other features right here. Now this brings me to a combination of modern technology and low tech that's very effective. Fortunately, Jeep gave the Grand Wagoneer large mirrors to go with its large body. And as you can tell right there, that triangle on the left, that'll light up if somebody happens to be in your blind spot, which is nice. You got this electronic safety net and this system watching out for you. But they also included this old school low tech feature so that you can physically see for yourself, albeit a smaller image, of who may happen to be in your blind spot at the same time. I'll walk you through some of the tech features on the Uconnect 5 system. So you get a nice large 12-inch display right there. Now, I disconnected my phone earlier, but you do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in here. And you read that right, entertainment screens, because the Series 3 has the 10.25-inch passenger side screen. I'll show you that in a minute. You can have a trailer saved to this. You can also tweak some of the camera settings. I leave the trajectory lines on, and then I like a little bit of a delay when I shift out of reverse and put it into drive. Now here's one little nitpicky thing. You can tell it to tilt the side mirrors down when you put the vehicle in reverse. I usually like it if you can just pick the passenger side, but you know, it applies to both sides in this vehicle, just like it did in the Ram Rebel Eco Diesel that I reviewed for There Will Be Cars. I'll put the link to that video up at the top. And then of course, you know, just to make this as small as possible when parking, you can set the mirrors to auto fold. Rain sensing wipers, always a good thing. And then yeah, you can configure the ambient lighting. So you can have a split top to bottom. Right now I have light blue on top, although it probably looks white to you, and then white at the bottom. And unfortunately it's not dark enough for you to see that, but anyway, you can sync both of them, you know, by hitting that button, and your basic doors and lock settings, seat options, key off options. There's so many things to configure in here. And then, yeah, this is something I really want to get into, this four-corner air suspension. As you can see, I have it set to the entry-exit height. It goes into that setting every time I put the vehicle in park. And, you know, if it was just me driving around in this, I really wouldn't care either way. But I do like using the tech. But right now, I'm traveling with family, so I want to make it as easy as possible for them to get into and out of the vehicle. So, yeah, just turn that on. And this is another thing I really want to get into and show you. This vehicle has the 23 speaker Macintosh audio system. So this Macintosh audio system can really fall into either category, comfort and convenience or tech. Just for the sake of simplicity, and since I'm on it right now, I'm putting it in the tech category. So here's the breakdown. It's the Macintosh MX1375 audio system. And as you've probably gathered, that number means it has a 1,375 watt output. It also comes with 23 speakers around the cabin, a 12-inch subwoofer, and 3D surround sound. And these are the basic settings right here. I've got it zeroed out, and then of course you can adjust the speed, dependent volume, and all these other settings right here. I've spent a lot of time testing out this Macintosh audio system. I zeroed out the equalizer settings just to start from a nice clean slate. I've been pleased with it. The sound is clean, the bass is rich, but it's not too heavy or too booming. I can crank it up high and not worry about hearing any unpleasant noises or getting a headache. It's one of those systems. It reminds me, in a way, it reminds me of Mark Levinson audio that you can get in Lexus vehicles, because you basically can't turn it up too high. You know, it's that smooth, it's that nice. I'm shooting this video on my phone, so as you can tell, this has wireless Apple CarPlay. It also has wireless Android Auto. Nice big display, vibrant icons, easy to hit the one I need in a hurry. Of course, no modern family vehicle would be complete without a Wi-Fi hotspot. This one has the capability, but as you can see, there's no data plan purchased yet. I'm going back in this menu here to show you one of my favorite little features. It's a little gimmicky, but I like it. So, you know, this has the Macintosh audio system. And if you want to get a sort of old school vibe going with it, you can click on this icon here. And it shows you the levels there. You know, of course I don't have it on right now, so the needles aren't moving, but when you are listening to music, they're moving. It just gives you that sort of old school experience. Here's a comfort feature that I wasn't initially aware of, but I'm glad I discovered it. It's called Relax. It has various themes that just help you chill out, obviously while the vehicle's in park. This one right now is the aquarium theme. I'll turn it up so you can hear it. This one is Aurora. Fireplace. Perfect for the winter holidays. Forest. And finally, topographic. And here's a couple of features that are a cross between comfort and convenience and tech. So if you're by yourself and you're using the rear view mirror, but the headrests are in the way, you don't have to get out of the vehicle to fold them down. You can power lower them just by hitting these buttons. So I'm going to hit this second row lower. And I'm going to do the same for the third row. Of course, if you don't want to mess with any of that, you can just use the rear mirror camera. The Grand Wagoneer is not what you would call a small vehicle, so it's nice to know it has a surround camera system. So of course you got your bird's eye right there, then you've got your rear view with trajectory lines, as well as other angles. Right there, and then you can even zoom in here on your hitch area. So you saw the hardware for this earlier, but I didn't get into it, so I'm going to get into it now. The FAM cam. So of course this vehicle's designed for carrying a lot of people, maybe some unruly or hyper kids in the back rows, so you can keep an eye on them, and you can even zoom in on certain seats. Maybe they're snacking on something they shouldn't be snacking on, or playing with their sibling's toy or something like that. You can actually zoom in when you get a chance to see what's going on there. Even though you don't see any Jeep logos on the Grand Wagoneer, it is still a Jeep at heart. So it has off-road pages that can show you readouts for various bits of information. So vehicle dynamics, you have your steering angle, state of the transfer case, and rear locker. Your accessory gauges will show you what your various temperatures are. And of course, pitch and roll when you're off-road. State of the select terrain system. I've got it in auto mode right now. And then you can see what the suspension is up to. That blue bar means it's at its entry exit height right now. But as you get moving, it'll go into normal or aero mode, and then you can jack it up to off-road 1 and off-road 2 for more clearance. I showed you the various settings and menu options provided by this lower screen earlier in the video, so I'm going to get into these controls down here. So you press that button, the lower screen does the James Bond act and lifts up and reveals a hidden compartment with a wireless charging pad, 12-volt plug, USB ports, and an HDMI port that the passenger can use. If you want to go back to your comfort features on the lower screen, just press this again. Comes back into place. And then I mentioned the auto hold feature earlier. Your lane departure function right there, traction control, hazards. Then this right here is the parking assist feature, and parking sensors. You can switch the vehicle into tow haul mode. And then this button controls the passenger side screen. Now you can't see it from this angle because Jeep designed this screen not to be all that visible from the driver's side to avoid distracting the driver. So you really have to see it from a more direct angle. It doesn't get the passenger full control, obviously, but if you're on a long trip and you want your front passenger to play DJ or, you know, just mix up the music that you're listening to, they have some control over that. So you can select different sources right there. They can even bring up video source or HDMI. I showed you that plug-in earlier. So this is a cool feature. It's slick, it's techy, and I can see people getting use out of it. But to be honest with you, in my experience, you know, we've gone to Disney World a couple of times, and, you know, one of my family members was just using the primary screen to change the radio station or to, you know, poke around the infotainment system. They didn't use this at all. And then down here, you can see the display for the select terrain system. So if you want to change it, you just use this little paddle here. It brings up different imagery right there. I put it in snow and I can feel the system raising the vehicle up, and now it's in its third setting. And sand and mud. And then rock, of course you need to be in low for that, but it's already boosting the suspension up. And like many of the buttons in this vehicle, the four-wheel drive low button, it feels like it's touch sensitive, but you can actually press it. It even makes a sound. And then this is the button for the select speed control. And as the menu shows, you can adjust that using the plus or minus buttons. Those are right there. Another bit of tech. So like many vehicles these days, this has adaptive cruise control. So you can activate it using this button, and then you can adjust the gap. You can increase the gap between you and the vehicle in front of you using this button, or decrease it by using this button. It also has an active driving assist function that you can engage by pressing this button. And it helps keep you in your lane on long trips. And speaking of keeping my eyes on the road, the head-up display definitely helped with that. Gave me readouts for the adaptive cruise control, gap distance, directions, speed, and the speed limit. All right, on the road in the Grand Wagoneer Series 3, making one last trip to the beach, bringing family members along with me, of course, for the ride. That's what this vehicle was built for. And I'd say so far it's done a great job of that. What do you think, y'all?
Yes. It's awesome.
Well, there you heard it. It's very comfortable. Got the ventilated and massaging seats going up front. People in the second row have their own ventilated seats. I think that's the thing I love most about this vehicle on the road. I mean, for me, it's comfortable. I've got my share of amenities up here, plenty of power, plenty of technology at my fingertips. But I think most of all what I like about this is, you know, being able to carry family members with me and knowing that they're in complete comfort. They have plenty of space in the second and even the third row. According to one of my family members, yeah, it's just incredibly roomy back there. And in the second row, you've got the captain's seats with heating and ventilation, manually adjustable. And then up front here, you know, there's plenty of space as well. I just really enjoy knowing that everybody is comfortable for the ride. Now, if you haven't had a chance to test drive a new Grand Wagoneer yet, I'll give you an idea of what it drives like. Picture a Ram truck with an air suspension. You know, it feels a lot like that, and those have always been comfortable. I mean, even on steel springs, the new Ram trucks are comfortable, but even more so on the air suspension. So, you know, this is a lot like that. Large, roomy, comfortable. Or, you know, I spent some time a month or so ago in the new Grand Cherokee L with the air suspension, and this feels like basically a larger version of that. Again, very comfortable, roomy, full of tech. So you can definitely feel the family connection to other vehicles, not only in the Jeep family, but the Stellantis family as well. The biggest drawback to the Grand Wagoneer Series 3, you've probably guessed it already, gas mileage. Luckily, it does have cylinder deactivation to help out, an 8-speed automatic. and most importantly, a large fuel tank. That definitely helps. Another thing about the fuel economy, this takes premium, so just keep that in mind. I'd like to thank you for watching my review of the 2022 Grand Wagoneer Series 3. If you liked what you saw, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you aren't a subscriber already, I would appreciate it if you would become a subscriber to There Will Be Cars. I always enjoy bringing you my driving impressions and reviews on this channel, and I hope you're here to see the next one.